3, 2, 1. Welcome to Breaking Balance. Redefining work, success, and life balance for all sales and marketing professionals. They are international speakers and coaches straight out of Jersey and the home of Spark Tank Media. Here is your host and co-host, Jeff Lobb and Nikki Brand.
Hey, welcome back. Another Breaking Balance. This is going to be our last episode of the year. It's almost like a sad recap, right? I mean, it's like
last one,
but yet it's good. There's new beginnings that are happening too.
Yes. It feels very fresh and new and exciting, and there's something about reflection at the end, so it's all good.
Yeah, this one, we had a lot of time to think about this one, and I'll tell you, from the year that we've had, even looking at the week that we've had. I mean, this week alone, for those of you who are out there and you think things are crazy, I think just about every day is. This week we went from, Nikki and I, from the highest of highs of bringing on a group of amazing new clients. We recapped a lot of our clients' production and sales, and they've done ridiculously well.
Yes.
And then at the same week, we've hit some really unfortunate lows of people that have been ill. We've had some very close loss, unfortunately, all in the same week. And it makes you wonder, how does everybody just keep going? How do we keep going? And somehow we do. We do. So, the reality is we're all trying to, stay focused, stay grateful for all this stuff.
Right.
Because while there's a lot of people who've been out of work across the country, there's some that have had the most amazing year ever.
Right. And
a lot of people always focus on the negative stuff. So it's, trying to remain grateful, I think, should be the conversation we have going down that path.
Yeah, I think, the feel for me to want to talk about today was gratitude. Jeff, I feel like in life and in business, it really, truly can set the tone for so much. If you have gratitude. Now, the word gratitude, I feel like it's thrown around a lot.
It's like one of those overused, fluffy words.
Right. But to be truly grateful and to truly have gratitude for your life, for your business, for the people. Let's talk about business first and gratitude. I see the most successful business people and the most successful business are people who are grateful for their employees, people who are grateful and appreciate what they've got.
Yeah, I think, so many people get caught up in and look, I appreciate gifting and doing the fun, the cards, but I think so much more matters just even in the words.
Acknowledgement.
And while we work with so many top producers or people that are always trying to level up their life, top performing mentality, which is crazy sometimes, we always tend to forget who are the people that kind of support you every day. Not that are below you, because to me, no one's below anybody, right?
Right.
It's who are the people that support you, that are behind the scenes, that never get the recognition, that are grinding sometimes way more hours than anyone ever knows. And a lot of times there's way more than 5 or 6 people. Sometimes there's 50 people behind the scenes to allow you to do what you do well.
Absolutely.
And we forget them sometimes. We forget them.
They're like the unsung heroes sometimes of your company.
Yeah.
The people who are doing the minute things around the office, straight up to the people that are your right-hand man. I feel really strongly that the more you can find gratitude within that, one, it feels good. It really does. It feels good to feel good about others. That's in my nature. I'm a bit of an empath. So, there might be some people listening going, this is fluffy. What the hell is she talking about? But I have seen it. I've really seen it. And, it's a test to you and your wife, Jeff, and the career that I have here. It's a very welcoming, grateful. I feel valued, and as an employee, that matters.
Yeah,
and it really does. And I can tell you that acknowledging people in the workplace for what they do feels really good, and it makes people want to do more.
Yeah. And to me, like my 3 favorite words are like, I appreciate you. Goes a long way.
Sure does.
Even if it's in it's informal in a text or in an email sometimes, but just telling somebody you appreciate them is huge, because we don't feel appreciated a lot. We are just in a, you don't realize what's going on behind the scenes in their world.
Yes.
You don't know what their family's dealing with. We always expect people to do their job 110%.
Right.
And sometimes you can't get 110% because we don't understand what's going on behind their scenes. And we always see, the magic that happens on social media. We see the magic that's going on in their success.
Right.
They won this award. They're the top in the country.
Right.
But they have a lot of problems too.
Absolutely.
And they're fighting that same battle we all are. So no one has the magic pill. No one has that magic secret. It's just about how you try and keep your mind together. And a lot of it, you stay sane by staying grateful, and you stay sane by giving gratitude, because it keeps things in perspective.
It sure does.
Without that team behind you,
right,
many times you are not good. You're useless. So, my sports analogy again, right? Like you could be the best running back in the universe on the NFL, but if you don't have a good line, you're not anywhere. Like you're done. So everyone, like the unsung heroes are the guys that are fighting that battle for you, so you can look good.
Absolutely. Right? I mean, I'm a firm believer that, I love to tip big when I go to a restaurant.
Yeah.
And I've waitressed, and I have been on the other side, and those people who are away from their families and making sure you're getting your best service and your best evening. They may not own the restaurant and they may not be cooking your food, but they're just as important for your experience.
That's right.
And same goes for the school. I appreciate the teachers and the superintendents, but let me tell you, just as important is your janitor and your, the ladies and the gentlemen who are cooking food for lunch.
That's right.
Like that appreciation to just in general. And I do think it comes down to who we are in business, how we treat our employees, but it's who you are as that person outside of your business life as well.
Yeah.
And having that gratitude for people in general for what they put in. It makes me, I can appreciate when you can see others and what they do. I don't know. To me, it's global. It makes things on a bigger picture.
Yeah. I think gets the weekend of the stick here. I think a lot of times is the leadership, the owners of the company, the vendors, the senior vice president sometimes, or, the CEO. And it's not the saying, they're not grateful, but I think what happens, we just assume because, they're the owners, they make all the money,
right?
They're living in the big house, they drive the nice car. But what a lot of us don't think about, whether it's a vendor, a client, or your own CEO in your own company, is you don't see even a third or a half of the battles they fight day in and day out behind the scenes to offer the opportunities that you have too. And I happen to know that because I work with them very closely. Yeah. And I see what happens behind the scenes. I see the sacrifices of their families. I see the sacrifices of the stress and the constant juggle of trying to keep companies moving forward too.
That's a lot of pressure.
Oh my God. And we sometimes neglect the gratefulness and the gratitude upline.
Sure.
We want to thank obviously the people that support us, but sometimes we don't give enough gratitude to those who fight those battles just because we think they have everything. Just because they're an owner or a C-level exec does not mean gratitude doesn't exist for them too. I think we missed that mark a big time. So huge thing for me is to pay attention to that.
Well, I think that's a good point because a lot of people out there might be saying, oh, they've got it all. Those people who have it all, do they? And if they do, how does it feel for them? Everyone, it's like the saying, you just don't know what someone's going through.
That's right.
And to have a bit of empathy and gratitude and whatnot, it goes a long way. I mean, talk about breaking balance and the balance of life, the stay-at-home mom. I mean, I can tell you that it's a very, you feel very, unappreciated most days because what you do and just kind of, it's just rolls. And
going through the motions of
of just house stuff.
Or you're trying to work a side hustle.
Or
how many have a work?
You're
trying
home
to just
and you're working
a side hustle or a job, and you've got kids screaming in the background, and you've got trying to get them on Google Meets. And
it is really tough, and I'm grateful for when you can, the acknowledgement of, wow, house looks great, and the kids didn't burn it down. Good job tonight.
I know, yeah. No one's bleeding and everyone's good.
Right. And sometimes those small acknowledgements go a long way. So you can go right from the CEO, all the way, everything in between, and showing that gratitude. It's huge. We learn it back in life coaching school. Acknowledgement and validation. It goes a long way.
You know what got a little fired me up a little bit? I took a little shit on social media this past couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of it's hard to squash anything because emotions are high.
Right.
But, I did a little clip and a lot of people probably didn't see this because I deleted some of it. But some people gave me some crap and some personal messages because we were fortunate enough to get a bunch of these PS5 boxes, right? These PlayStation boxes.
Okay.
Now no one gifted them to us.
Right.
Like my son and wife, worked ridiculous.
Yeah, work. No,
it was just to try and get one for the family.
Right,
it wasn't like we were trying to score and resell.
Right.
But we ended up getting a couple by default. Just all of them clicked in one day, and people saw that there were a few of them, right? But a lot of people also don't know that where one of them went. No one knows that one of them was gifted to a family or somebody. No one knows that it wasn't just for us. We showed it. People perceived and made assumptions like, oh my God, how spoiled are you? And we were like any other family trying to get one for our kids.
Right.
Maybe got more than one, 2 or 3 even.
Right.
It just happened. We didn't have any special powers, no connections. We worked for it. But also no one knows that one of them wasn't even for us, right? It was a donation. It was a special gift for someone that didn't have. And they don't see that part. So they just want to constantly make assumptions and angry and give me crap. How dare you?
And then it makes you feel bad.
Are you kidding me?
Right. And then it's come on, I was doing
I'm not gonna go tell them online it's a gift for somebody or it's for a family, because that's none of their business who it goes to, where it goes. But the reality is one of them was for somebody else. It wasn't us. But they don't see that part. They just want to make the assumption because they believe what they see. They lose gratitude, they lose gratefulness, and they just want to be angry. And you know what? That impacts life, business, everything, because now they make this perception of you,
yes,
which impacts your business, my business, everyone's business, because the way they think and feel about you.
Right.
That's wrong.
So what's the solution? Do you not post? Do you not do things, or do you do it with or the person watching is that lesson saying, you know what? Good for them. Good for them. No matter what they do with their 5 PS5s that they bought. Is it for them? Is it for gift? I know Jeff, he's a good dude. He probably bought one for another family. What do we do on that end? Because honestly, the judgy shit on social, you'd think after the type of year that we've had at 2020, that we would stop for a second and say, should I really write this?
Yeah, that's right.
Should I really think this? Is it smoke and mirrors, or what's going on behind the scenes? I just wish, my wish for people going into the new year, one, maybe get off social for a little bit, go outside,
go get some fresh air,
and maybe before you make a judgment, have a gratitude moment where you just say, you know what? I'm grateful for my life.
Yeah, let's just
I'm not going to go judge yours.
Right. There's always somebody to compare yourself to. Always. Absolutely. You start going down a real rabbit hole with that.
Absolutely. So, I can see that situation.
See, I'm not going to stop that and I'm not trying to show. I wasn't trying to show off anything. Right, I was really just showing the kids doing their own thing,
right?
Just in their daily craziness.
Right.
Because I have to realize, and it's a hard thing for me to overcome at times, but they're just not my tribe. They're not for me. Not everyone's going to like what I do. Not everyone's going to like me. Not everyone's going to like you.
Nope.
So that's okay. If you're not part of my tribe, that's okay. There are other people to be part of my tribe. If that person wants to feel that way, I can't change that. I'm not going to try and change that.
No.
So I'm not going to stop. I think putting stuff out there keeps building trust and who we are as people. And if they don't like it or feel angry about it, that's okay.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
It was hard for me to get to that point because I want everyone to like me.
Yes.
Not everyone's gonna.
And it's funny because my spouse could care less.
Yeah, give a shit less.
And I am much more, of that. So I suppose like at this point, I don't know. I think reflection and gratitude is a much better way than judgy.
Totally.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think looking back at 2020, we can talk about, it's been quite a year for a lot of people.
Yep.
Like you said, some people had the best year of their lives.
Yep.
Other people, not so much. And I think looking back, a word that kind of flows with me is silver lining.
Mm-hmm.
And I, truthfully, it has affected me because of someone that I followed on Instagram, who had lost her husband to COVID, very young, 40.
Mm.
And she ended up finding silver linings and through everything, utmost gratitude and so much inspiration. And it just blew me away to the point where it actually switched the thought process for me of how I looked at this year. Was this woman, Amanda Klutz, and really, really affected me. And so, Jeff, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about silver linings. Can you look back at this year with some of the struggle and maybe have found a silver lining?
Yeah. There's probably a dozen of them.
Right.
If I look at just some of our core, let's just stay on the business side for a second, core business stuff, our clients have thrived. It changed. When people thrive, it's not just about money. Mm-hmm. It does a lot of things. It changes their life. It changes their family. It changes how they can impact other people. So by people doing really well and thriving and helping facilitate, the silver lining is it's helping their family. It's helping people actually now get into positions where they can have children. It's getting positions where people can do more with their own children. So when we look at something one way, we have to realize the silver lining is the impact is greater than what we see. Mm. And, we have had, precious friends, clients that have become friends where it allowed them to create families. It allowed them to help their families because yes, it was more financial, but that opened up and helped do a lot more things for others. So to me, we don't look that deep. We look one way. I like to look deeper on who else it impacted down the chain. And I think a lot of people forget that part. They just see it one way.
Oh,
so
I love
to me, that's the impact. And that's why I think we do what we do is while we help people in a lot of ways, it helps impact a lot more deeper. And
absolutely.
And
I love that. I feel like looking back at this year, listen, a lot of people are going to say it sucked. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are going to, certainly, look, it did suck for a lot of people. A lot of people got sick. A lot of people lost money, lost their jobs. A lot of people were depressed because there's that human connection that we had to reinvent this year.
But let me interrupt you. I want to interrupt you a second because so many people think because you had a successful year in sales growth and all this other money, I doubled. There was a lot of crap too. Like there was a lot of depression in those the same people. It's not just because they did well, they're on this special path, river. No. You're right. There's a ton of impact on those who even did really well. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to make that assumption to the group that's listening just because they had this magical year financially. There's times every day. How many days of ours sucked?
Yes. Well, let me tell you, for a people person like myself who thrives on hugging and I'm a hugger. I love to come over and cuddle on the couch and shoot the shit. That was not happening this year. I would hug my family and my sister and stuff, but like that the whole general awkwardness now when you see someone like the back and forth you don't that was really difficult for me.
I still don't know what the hell to do with it.
You don't know what to do. The fist bump or it's just so awkward.
I'm just like shaking.
I'm welcoming back the hug when it's socially acceptable to hug again. And that was really difficult for me. And I know for a lot of people that social connection, that human connection for children to be with their friends. It was really difficult for a lot of people. So, the difficulty spectrum was all over the place. Yep. And we all have relatable stories there. And it's easy to get stuck there. It's easy to say, oh, I hate this now. And but right. We can go on and on.
Take a breath, right?
So when we have a silver lining, it's the way to look at it a bit differently. Okay. So I can't hug. Okay. So I wasn't able to, be with as many people as I wanted to be. Well, what was that silver lining? Well, I certainly had more family time.
Oh yeah.
Quality family time. My daughter's 13. Let's face it. If this year had not happened, I probably would not have seen her.
Yeah, that's true.
She would have been in sports 24/7 and with her friends, and then she would have been studying, and that would have been it. So the amount of time, gifted time, that we had together with her. And then, of course, personally, like my husband has been commuting for the 20 years of marriage that we've been together, and he's been home since March.
It's crazy.
It is unreal. You could never look me in the eye and say, oh, your husband's going to be home working from home. I'd say, nah, never going to happen.
No,
ever.
I know.
Like you, Jeff.
I haven't flown. I haven't been to an event since March.
You are a jet setter. Tiffany and I would be at at pickup almost every day, right, talking about, oh, Jeff's in Florida. Oh, Jeff's in Vegas. Oh, Jeff's in California. Jeff's home.
I'm home. I'm on Zoom. I'm on Zoom all day of my life.
But my point is, would you look at that as a silver lining?
I would no. I mean, initially, no. It was a nightmare.
Right.
It was like
initially for my husband too.
He was like, how is this going to work?
How? But would you look back at this year? Okay, you probably missed out on some speaking gigs that you were face-to-face connections.
Yeah, meeting people, events,
and dinners and all that. But what's the silver lining to that, to the miss out? What's the flip side, right?
Yeah, it forced me and us and our family and our company to think differently, to evolve new products, to be creative because we had to. Someone was asking about like what were some of the biggest challenges this year too. Like someone doesn't realize like when you start to deliver stuff on Zoom, it's not like you're doing a webinar anymore, like just talking to a slide. If you're going to do it well, people don't understand. Like there's people that do Zoom meetings, but that you want to just scratch the board.
Right. You want to just,
and then there's one that can deliver really good meetings. It's a level of energy.
Yeah,
it's a different
preparation.
Skill set
now.
It becomes more exhausting than me getting on a stage.
Right.
So, but it's a craft.
Yes,
it's a craft.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people haven't mastered it yet. It's still a work in progress. But that, thinking how we've had to just force ourselves to change. And we now know that we have that ability to do that no matter what gets thrown at us, because people think, oh, tomorrow or 2 days is going to be 2021. It's a whole new slate. It's magically new. No, same crap's going to be here.
It's the same shit.
Like the COVID's not going away. The real estate market's not going to change. Like, it's still here.
We have to just, deal with it.
I love like a clean slate. Like if in your mind that's what it takes.
Yeah, no, there's nothing like
but
the
don't
turn
be
of
fooled.
the new year. But when you're reflecting on 2020 and tomorrow it's just,
it doesn't just
know what day it is. It's a Thursday, like tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah, tonight's New Year's Eve.
Exactly. So
the
fact is you're going from Thursday to Friday. That's simply what it is. We're in the same week. So we've got the slate that's clean, and we'll talk all about that in our next podcast of all that good stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna focus on strategy.
Yeah, we'll even talk about resolutions, whatever, but or lack of.
Well, we can do you make resolutions? What's your thought?
Nope.
I think they're like it's a joke. I think resolutions, like it's such a short term.
No,
like mental mind mess.
It's a mind F, and honestly, to me, a better word for resolution is intention.
Yeah, I like that.
I will not ever put that pressure on me again to say, oh, my resolution, I'm giving up carbs. Yeah. Resolution, I'm quitting smoking. Resolution, oh, I'm going to make, $500,000. No, an intention is totally different. An intention is something I'm manifesting. I'm putting out to the universe. It's something I would like to do.
Yep.
And I would like to focus on. I would like to hold myself accountable. A resolution to me is bullshit and it's pressure.
Yeah.
And I don't need more guilt in my life.
That's true.
Okay, I don't want to feel guilty because I had a bagel this weekend. I blew it. I'm done, and
screwed
now
up your whole 2021 already.
done. 2021's over because I had a bagel and cream cheese. Like, I'm not doing that, Jeff. Don't do it, folks.
Yeah, don't screw yourselves up. Like
we both agreed, and thank God we're on the same page with this.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Even if you weren't, I'd argue it but we are 100%. It's funny how many things we're in a line with.
I know, and
but
this is definitely
what makes one day say I'm going to now do this. Why didn't you do that in July or August or September?
Right.
Like, what's wrong with those days?
Absolutely.
So it's a bit of a mind F. I really wish we could say that punch for, but that's it's a mind F. It's really what it is. And look, if that's what you got to do and it works for you, if anything works for you, go do it. But we have other plans.
Right. Call it an intention. See what happens. See if your resolution can go to an intention and see what happens. See if that lifts the guilt. See if that maybe allows you to be consistent and more accountable.
Just try to be accountable. How about that? Accountability.
Accountability.
So real quick story on accountability. This will show you how accountability has an impact. So we were working with one of our friends and clients, and he said to me straight up, he's like, hey, and maybe I said this on another podcast too, but either way, it's impactful. Right. He's like, I need you to hold me accountable for this thing. I'm like, all right, look, what's it going to take? And then something had to get done by a certain day. So realistically, if you're the owner of the company, who's going to punish you?
Right.
Nobody,
Right.
So I said, okay, so here's the date. Pick the date. What do you want accountable for? Great. I said, if it's not done by then, $5,000.
What'd they do?
He first looked at me. He's like, what? I go, you're going to pay me $5,000 if it's not done right. And he first looked at me, and I was waiting for all the bullshit. I was waiting for like, you're fucking. And he just looked at me and went, done.
Wow. Did he get it done?
Yeah, well, of course. Because guess what? Every waking minute, now there's a penalty. Now there's not necessarily a financial penalty. It could be any penalty. Right. I mean, we could talk about this. But so then I started to think myself, I'm like, okay, accountability. What's the value have to be accountable? Like if I'd have said $100, you'd be like, whatever. Right. I'll just pay you the $100 now. I don't want to do it. What was the number? Is it $3,000? So I did this jokingly with another client that maybe wasn't so successful just yet, and they're working. And I said $1,000. And they freaked out. Like, I can't do it. So wait, so do you want to be accountable or not?
Right.
What's the number? So we just used the financial number, but there's other things that could be, whether it's success or there are other thoughts. But just to show, like people say, try being accountable.
Right. I think that's a great one. I think that's a great one because it's true. There's things I need to hold myself accountable for. And I've been really thinking about it and focusing on it. And I'm not going to make a resolution for them. I'm going to put out an intention and see if I can do that.
There's no penalty. There's no penalty. There was a clip on it was on TikTok or something. I was scrolling through and there was a head coach of like a major college going through, and he called out. So it was a short clip. He called out some kid. He said, hey, is Mike so-and-so in the audience or whatever in the group? He's like, yeah, he goes, the worst play I've ever seen ever. He goes, if you were on my team right now, honestly, I'd cut you. I'd cut you.
Was he devastated?
And you know what? It was devastating in front of his peers and everything. And you saw the kid react, but you know what? Although hard to hear, I bet you that kid's acting differently tomorrow. Either he's going to wake up or he's going to shut down. But that guy was straight up. He's like, listen, I cut you. It was the worst I've seen play in years. But now how's that kid going to react to that? He's either going to step up and prove him wrong.
Yeah.
So you know what? Someone's going to hold him accountable at this point.
Right.
He just got told where his buddies might be like, oh, it was great. You had a great practice. No, he's the one that matters.
Right.
Didn't happen.
Right.
So it's amazing when you try and be accountable. We all say it, but do we really want it?
Absolutely. So, and how important is it?
So no resolutions. Must do that.
No.
Don't ask me.
So, to kind of end today, you've got something really neat.
Yeah. So, we always try and end with like a final thought, and the one thing that kind of stuck with me throughout this year, during crazy times, many of you heard me, I have a lot of children. I have 6, but
I always say,
and they're all equally special.
Right.
But this one happened to be my James. He's a senior this year at high school, very limited time doing, finally got, he got to be drum major and shortened season. Anyway, the last song of their performance, the name of their theme this year, although shortened, was called One. Or no, it's called Alone. And alone meaning, a lot of people, these kids were left kind of out there. But the last song was a really special song. And it's the song Carry On.
Love it.
Right. And I'll tell you, I'm not a musical guy. I've said this all the time. Like I have zero skill in music. I don't listen to a lot of it.
Right.
But when something kind of gets in your head. So
when you feel it.
Yeah. So as we're pulling this up, I think, if you have a final thought, I want to end our little session with Carry On, and I'm going to pull up his raw music.
And I would just say, if you're going to take this next few days of reflection, maybe possibly through all the struggle and the strife and the heartache, find a silver lining. Maybe find something that did feel good this year.
Yeah.
Focus on it. Close your eyes, feel it. Maybe live it in your head. Are you grateful for it? Find that gratitude.
Yep.
That would be my final thought.
Yeah. And I think gratitude, if you just to reflect back on what we said earlier, be grateful for the people that support you, but also be grateful up the ladder as well to those who you think might have everything and all under control. They need to hear it more than others too. So don't forget that. So let's see if we can pull this baby up. This is their live, authentic, from the field itself, So happy New Year, guys, to everybody. We're going to see you on the flip side.
Safe and happy and healthy thoughts for a new year.
I just love this song.
I love it. It feels so good. Because we have to carry on.
That's it.
Right?
We are.
We have to keep going.
Tomorrow's
Don't
the day.
give up.
Nope.
Don't give up.
Set new goals. Be accountable. Make shit happen. All right. We're out.